Today we are learning all about atoms. You already know that all matter, like this brick, is made out of tiny particles. But today we're going to learn more about these tiny particles. These particles are called atoms. And atoms are the particles that are the most basic building blocks of matter. Up until now, we've just drawn atoms as little circles, like this. But it turns out that atoms are made of several different pieces. If you were to look inside of an atom, you would find an area in the center, which we call the nucleus. The nucleus is filled with lots of even tinier particles. These blue particles are called protons. They're inside of the nucleus and carry a positive electrical charge. You can remember this by thinking of the P in proton stands for positive. Now, protons are important because the number of protons that an atom has determines the type of atom. For example, oxygen will always have 8 protons in its nucleus, while helium atoms only have 2 protons in their nucleus. The number of protons is so important that it has its own name. The number of protons in an atom is an atom's atomic number. The other type of particle in the nucleus is called a neutron. Now, neutrons are also inside of the nucleus, but they carry no electrical charge. You can remember that the N in neutron stands for no electrical charge. But now, outside of the nucleus are other particles. There are these smaller particles that constantly fly around the outside of an atom. We call these tiny particles electrons. Now, electrons have a negative electrical charge, meaning they're the opposite of protons. They're also always flying around the outside of an atom. Now that we've gone over the parts of an atom, let's review what each piece is. Inside of an atom is a central area. Its name starts with an N. What is it? The center of an atom is called the nucleus, and it's packed full of particles. What are these blue, positive particles called? These particles are called protons. What are these red, neutral particles called? These red particles are called neutrons. And while both protons and neutrons are inside of the nucleus, they have different electrical charges. What type of electrical charge does a proton have? A proton has a positive electrical charge. Also remember that the number is very important. The number of protons determines the type of atom and is called the atomic number. Neutrons, on the other hand, have one electrical charge. Neutrons have no electrical charge. Remember the N in neutron for no electrical charge. Outside of the nucleus are other particles. What are these small particles that are constantly flying around the atom called? Well, these particles are called electrons. And what electrical charge do electrons have? Well, remember that electrons are the opposite of a proton. They have a negative electrical charge. And they're easy to spot because they're always flying around the atom. Now it's time for you to practice identifying these particles on your own. Here is your first particle. This particle is in the nucleus of the atom, and it has no electrical charge. What particle is it? Well, the first piece of information was that it's in the nucleus of the atom. Remember that in an atom, the nucleus has 2 particles. It could either be a proton or a neutron. But the other clue we had is that it had no electrical charge. The only particle with no electrical charge is the neutron. So this particle must have been a neutron. Let's do another. This second particle is not in the nucleus of the atom, and it has a negative electrical charge. What particle is this? Well, as you can see, there's only one type of particle not in the nucleus. It's the electron. You can also confirm that electrons have a negative electrical charge. So this particle was definitely an electron. Now here's the last type of particle. The number of this particle determines an atom's atomic number, and it has a positive electrical charge. What particle is this? Well, in an atom, the only particle with a positive electrical charge is a proton. We can also confirm that protons do determine an atom's atomic number. So this particle must have been a proton. From today, remember, atoms are the building blocks of matter, and atoms are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons.